All right, welcome to tutorial 2, which is Elevate Your Edits. And I've got a couple clips pulled up here that were from the promo of this gal being fitted for this dress or shirt or whatever it is. And we're going to go through using the templates in a unique way, but to show you that all the capabilities are still available in Premiere. And specifically today, we're talking about blend modes. And a lot of times with brands, you'll have or you'll need to use blend modes to achieve some of the looks, whether it's multiply or overlay. And those are some of the main ones that I use on a regular basis, but it can help contribute and add color and brand dynamism to your image. And so I want to show you how to use those with the templates and in conjunction together. So we've got these 3 clips, and what we're going to do is we're going to have this middle clip be our palette for the template. So let's line that up. And since this is kind of a fashion clip, let's go into our text and label this Fashion Week 2024. Ooh. And maybe for subtitle, let's call it dress fitting. So maybe she's getting a dress fitting, and it's just the top part of the dress here. But let's find here a different color here to put on our background here. And okay, so typically maybe we want this to be like multiplied over our footage, right? I was on the wrong one, multiply. But we're gonna lose some of the white, so how do maybe we want the color of that, and we want to preserve, obviously, our text. We want to preserve the image behind it and just make it a little bit more palatable of a look. So let's go back out here before we do this, and let's make a couple duplicates. So we know we've got our text set, and let's see if we've got our animation set. We do. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to Option drag. If you press Option on your keyboard and drag up a layer, I'm going to create a duplicate of the Mogurt. And for this one, I'm just going to disable the background. So if we take a look at that, by disabling this clip, I've just got text on this layer. Perfect. It's exactly what I want. And so let's rename. If we press Option R, we can rename this first layer, and I'm going to call it text. So we've got that. We know we want a multiply layer. So let's take this bottom layer, and we want to keep our wipe in this layer. So let's re-enable the background. It's enabled. Let's turn off the subtitle and turn off the title. So if we disable this text layer, now in this layer, we just have a wipe. And for our track mat, or let's keep this as the background, and we'll call it color. Now let's go back down. Let's turn this one off. Go back to this last one. We're going to make this our wipe layer. So let's take off subtitle and title, and let's change the background to white so we can really see what's happening here. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to our effects controls, or our effects section here, type in track mat key. Now what this does is we're going to apply it to our actual footage layer. And what we're going to do is we're going to use this white layer here of the Mogurt and use it as the track mat key source for the matte alpha. So what we wanted to say matte alpha, or in this case, if it is white, we could use matte luma, and that would mean that white pixels are used for the reference or for the track mat. But in this case, since we know we have an alpha section of this template, basically a transparent section and a fill section, that we can use matte alpha on this clip, and then we have to set the source. So we know V1 is video 1, that's what our footage is on, and the source that we're trying to reference is on V2 here. So we'll click V2. So now, as you can see, the footage wipes in with that. So let's rename this layer wipe. All right, so we've got the wipe. We've got color here. Let's re-enable that. And what was the color we had? We had this color, and we have our text. So now, if we go over to Effects Controls, we've got our wipe layer, and now let's look at making this multiply. So that's a little bit better. Still kind of dark and contrasty for my liking. So what we could do is let's rename this color 1, and let's actually drag these 2 layers up a bit, and then let's duplicate that layer, rename this color 2. And sometimes what I like to do with multiply is make a white layer underneath the multiplier layer so I can actually control the opacity, the amount of multiply that we're bringing in. So that's a little bit better. And we can kind of control using our opacity how much footage we're seeing, how much of the multiplied color we're seeing. I think that feels nice. So we still get that wipe, and we still get our brand color, we still get our text, and it's all working together, and it's all working with the same animation as well. So once we're happy with that look, let's go and let's create a nested file by selecting all these layers and clicking nest. And sometimes I like to label it GFX just so I know there's graphics involved with it, and let's call it Fashion Week. Fashion Week intro. Okay, so we've got that look. And now let's go in and see where these animations start. So if I just arrow forward, I want to kind of get to the end of the animation, which is probably right around here. Set a marker. And then I want to find the start of the exit. So I'm looking at the right-hand side of my screen where that footage starts disappearing, and I'm setting a marker there. So now when I drag this up, I can drag this over so that our marker matches with the edge there, and then we can kind of see the result here. Got our Fashion Week, and normally what I say is if I'm trying to figure out a section or how something looks, I'll render the selection. And it doesn't take too long, typically with these templates, even if I've got 4 Mogurt instances in there. Just so I can make sure the look is right. Cool. So yeah, we've got a nice GFX intro there, and everything's still editable. I can still go into the file, see where the start points are. I can go in here and change things, whether maybe I want to change the frame rate down to 12 on all of these. It's pretty easy to do. Just go in, and we'll get a more choppy look. But maybe it's something we want for this use case. So I can come back out. Yep, looks a little bit choppier. Come back out. Let's render the selection. And let's see how it plays back. Yeah, so a little bit more informal of a look. Maybe that's the vibe we're going for the video. And don't be too concerned about the little glitches there. Just going from a rendered section to a non-rendered. So if you play it back a couple times, it should play back naturally. Awesome. So that's one way to do to use this template, specifically the 01. You could do the same method on most of the templates here, which is great, to use the different blend modes and blend styles and effects controls to your heart's content. depending on the look you're going for, and things like that. So feel free to use your creativity to really push the limits of the blend modes and how you're applying your client's brand. The final thing I want to show you is you can actually use the same template for an effect as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to drag that same template in, 1. And I actually did this in the tutorial 1 is I used this template as a wipe. And I'm going to show you how to do it. So I find that cut point. I'm actually going to set a marker for that. And I'm going to set a marker for where it exits, just in the very same way we did on this first one. Set a marker, cut these, get rid of that. Now if we play this back, we'll see the text jitters a little bit because maybe the text animation isn't done. But let's take that text out and see where we're at. Excuse me. All right, text is gone on the first. Text is gone on the second. So we could use it just as an animation, just like this. And you could go in here and make it a nest. And let's go GFX, transition. And this is a 2-second transition right now, but let's make it a 1 second. So we can go here and do 200%. And say we wanted to get rid of this graphics thing and use this text transition. Let's find our middle point in a best way that we can by setting a marker so that we know where we drag it is where the marker should be. And depending on what that is, as long as we're close and as long as it looks like we're pretty decent on that, we can use that. So that's how we made a transition, just a simple white transition to go to a different clip. If we wanted to make that a different color, we could always go to Effects Controls and apply a tint or anything like that. Let's just make it white for now. Actually, let's use our color that we were using before. And if we make them both that way, here comes our wipe. Go a step further, make a duplicate. Change the rate to 250. Line up our points as best we can. Might have to do some rate stretching. Make this bottom one white. We can create kind of a layered look for this transition. So that might be a cool option too. And the last thing here I want to go through is specifically what to do if a clip or a template malfunctions, and I'll show you what I mean. If we go here to stock, and I know this clip does it from prior times working with this clip, but if we just drag in this business meeting clip here, you can kind of see we've got some different size issues. So we want to size that up to be over the, let's just size it up to like 110. That way we don't have any of that black edging that you saw right there. So we've got a clip. Maybe we want to use this for our intro clip as well. So let's grab our title and we're going to use the wipe again for this guy. We've already set our marking point there. And so let's go about using this clip again for it. So I'm just going to get rid of the ending. We know we want our text and we want our wipe layer. So let's make our matte layer. Call it a 1. Matte. Let's get our track matte key on here right away. And let's go set that to be V4, which is right above. Go back to Essential Graphics. In our background, let's make it white just for fun. Let's turn off our text layers. And now if we go down to, we're going to see, we've got our wipe. Great. And now this is what's happening. We're getting this very inaccurate wipe, and it's not the same. Well, so the issue with that is because we had to scale this clip up to 110. It's now scaling at that extra 10%. And so the wipe is happening that extra 10% as fast. That's not the exact terminology for it, but let's roll with that today. To make that even, we need this clip to be 100. So although we've made it 110 in this, we need to nest this clip now so that the scale of the nested clip will be 100. I'll do business meeting. I am so terrible at spelling. So now that we've got that there, we need to go grab our track mat key, copy it, delete it off of this layer, bring it back into our tutorial, and make sure it's on B4. It is. And now these will line up great. What you're seeing is me RAM previewing. So if we really want to see that, I'm going to bring down the background layer here a little bit. And let's render this. Render selection. So we can really see exactly what's happening. So now that we've rendered it out, now that clip in the effects controls is 100 scale, because we made a new nest, we're getting that proper wipe that's lining up with the same animation. So take note of that when you're working with different footage sizings, whether it's 1080 footage or 4K, that if you're going to use track mat key and use these layers, you need to make it 100%. And if you're setting to frame on the mat key in a 1080 comp and maybe say it's at 50, you just need to make sure that nested layer is also at 50%, just to make sure the scale of the nest and the motion graphic template match. So anyway, that was the second tutorial for Clean Motion Toolkit. If you have any comments, write them below this video, or you can email me at hello@keyedvisuals. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next one.